Hello guys, this is Wayne, Midnight Think Tank. Let's see, we have Wednesday, May 31, 2017. Alright, we're going to be talking about corporations. Corporations, very simply put, if any of you are in business, you can back this up, you might back me up and help your fellow man know what a corporation is. You get an idea of a business, you think of a name, you go down to the city or the county, and you put that name on paper, you file papers, therefore now the city or county gives you a certified copy back after you filled out creating the corporation, the sole proprietor, the S Corp, C Corp, whatever it is that you're creating. And remember, the S Corp, C Corp, sole proprietor, corporation, all of these are tax designed businesses. When they made the corporation, there's certain tax advantages and disadvantages. It's a pre-known vessel that you're in instead of picking your own. In other words, it's the car that's already painted at the auto dealership. You get to choose from one of those type of cars, whichever model that you're looking for, and you have the different features that go with it. This is the difference. Their corporation, S Corp, C Corp, they're all nothing but a fictitious entity created out of the human mind. Somebody created those, therefore they're not real. They're words on a piece of paper. So what the judges, the administrative judges, have been doing all of this time since 1871, they've been blurring the lines between the Constitution and the corporation, which is what they're operating behind, or however you want to call it, they're operating it within. So if a judge hands you a piece of paper and it says that this state of Florida versus Joe Blow, you, Joe Blow, whoever, that's just as fraudulent as you can get. The state, which is a piece of paper, cannot come against any man. It's a piece of paper with words on it. Can that piece of paper spit on you? No. Can it punch you? No. Can it charge you money? No. So how can that state come against you? The judge will say, oh, well, we have the representative to that state. Okay. Well, then the representative gets a Title 42, Title 18 in their personal capacity, because I'm of the Constitution and your CFR corporation does not control the Constitution, and you've done, and all this is in R.I.C.O. It's federal treason. Guys, a corporation is very simple. On the paper here it says there is no such thing as corporate law. It's for commerce only. Those laws are actually called code and policy. Right here, code and policy. Okay? State statute are code and policy. It is not law. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and it overrules any and every law that comes up against it, including the military. So our Congress knew this and knows this. So when they sit here and allow the states to dictate or create what they call laws, which are policy and code, that can't come against anybody. This is all done from within commerce, because there are two governments running. There always has been. One for commerce and one for the people, which is called the Constitution. State statutes is commerce, which is policy and code. And the Constitution is for we the people. And technically, when you go into jail and they hand you a piece of paper, first of all, you don't reach out and take that paper, because that's when you're contracting with them. You are accepting their terms. You cannot accept them. They have to get you to contract, because their world only is run by contracts. They have no jurisdiction outside of contracts. So if you want to contract with them, then this YouTube's not for you. I personally don't want to contract with them, because they're committing federal treason, and the only law that I have to be associated with as a human being, not a fictitious piece of fraud that they're pulling off the backs of the American people, is the Constitution. So, as a result to all of this, I said all of that to say this. Now let's look at the paper. There is no such thing as corporate law. It's for commerce only, and it's all contracts. You have to contract. You're standing in front of the administrative court, which that's the courts that has been giving us all the tickets and all this stuff. When you hand your driver's license, you're contracting with that corporation. You don't need a driver's license. All you got to do is Google how many high cases are there. There's somewhere around 49 Supreme Court cases, higher end cases that have won. You don't need a driver's license, period. Driver is for commerce and commerce only. Okay, so this corporation that was enacted in 1871, all to pay back a note to Europe. They called in their note we couldn't pay. There you go. A corporation cannot create law, because a corporation is only a fictitious entity, a piece of paper with words on it, created by the Vatican's employee. All the buck stops at the Vatican, guys. The Pope is the head kingpin, is the Antichrist, is the man behind the curtain in the Wizard of Oz. So I mean, if you look at the evidence of those guards that they had in the Wizard of Oz, look what they're wearing, and look what the Pope's those guards down in the Vatican are wearing. It's the same stuff, just more modern day. It's only code and policy. It's not law. It was created by its unelected board of directors through our ignorance. And it is not the judicial of Congress that we the people elected. Only Congress, flesh and blood people we elect can create law, period. So why are all the state legislatures doing it? Well, they just throw it out there, and they know that we don't know any better. Duh. Therefore, they get away with whatever they want. Now, this little thing right here on the screen, SS, that's one S on top of each other. That's subsection, in case you didn't know. United States means a federal corporation. Title 28 U.S. Code, subsection 3002, subsection 1515A. You can look it up. And here's the big kicker right here, guys. This is the hot tamale of them all. They're telling you right here, U.S. Code, subsection 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. It's not law. They're telling you right there. It's not law. Period. So, now, as a result, we start off into this area called, at the beginning, 1871. Two guys came from England and created two corporations. The first corporation is called the Bar. The Bar stands for British Accredited Registry. and judges and the lawyers all took the bar. Okay? So if they took the bar, and that's from Britain, and each state is a corporation, they're sitting here trying to pull, because you're not educated, we're not educated, pulling all this wool over our eyes so that you don't know. They know you're not going to go do homework. This is why we're in this rabbit hole, guys. So, whatever I say, take my word for nothing. Prove me wrong. Now, we got here, Supreme Court, jurisdiction, no corporate jurisdiction over the natural man. Well, I believe I'm a natural man, and I believe all of you are natural man and natural women too. And the crimes that they're committing, guys, is all right here, and this is massive. And I have to do this with 2 fingers because I'm holding the mic with the other hand, the other finger. But all of this stuff that we're dealing with, it all comes down to RICO. It's racketeering. This is what's happening here. All corporations have been destroyed since September 2015, and the Council on Foreign Relations, which controls the United States Corporation, CFR, which is what Hillary Clinton stated. I get my marching orders from the Council. Well, that's what she was talking about. The Council on Foreign Relations has been controlling the United States Corporation. But on top of that, the statutes that we're talking about, the Vatican came in, and I believe it was 1933, and literally wiped out all the statutes, and we're under UN, which is not the Constitution. See, they're blindly sucker punching us, and because we're not standing up, well, we haven't been, now we are. There's a lot of people fighting now. So all you're going to do is join into that fight, and you got to learn. And it's not that complicated, but they made it complicated. With the end result, they have been doing all of this because we don't stand up and say anything. So you have to contract with the courts. A true court is not we don't have the Constitution because they got rid of that. The end result, what's done in fraud stays in fraud. So the Constitution is still very much the law, because they can't do it because we didn't change it. We didn't ask for it to be changed. And they have to go through the American people to vote on it, and they did not vote on it. We did not vote on it. Excuse me. Okay, and they're all employees controlling privately owned legal corporations and ignoring their oaths. Federal treasonous organized crime of RICO. Under color of law. All definitions on these Midnight Think Tank YouTubes are Black's Law. Black's Law is the dictionary for the Constitution. The most trusted, widely trusted dictionary for law. True law, not corporation BS. In the Declaration of Independence, the Articles of Confederation, and the other 3 organic laws appear in Volume 1 of the United States Code. Following this statement, United States Code containing the general and permanent laws of the United States in force. The foregoing statement should dispel any remaining thoughts that the Declaration of Independence is not law, when in fact the Declaration is one of the 4 organic laws. And right now, if you do homework, you've got the Convention of States that is doing the Article 5. The only thing that we've never done is the Article 5. and that is where we have a very broke government. This is the anchor. I would have to bail out of this situation, and this is what's happening, and it has been happening for the last couple of years. And this thing slowly it's turning around, guys. But everybody's got to step up, come to the plate. Now, oh, of course, I knew that was going to happen. Just jump the page. Give me a second to get back. Also called laws are state statutes and moves by contract since 1939 in the shadow of the de jure. The United States of America was laid to rest by the United States Supreme Court order of December 29, 1948, when the district courts of the United States became United States district courts. The Great Combining took place in 1937. See Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Rule Number 2. Equity venue ran side by side with the law of venue for a while until December 29, 1948. Now there is no de jure law, yet even up to this date, all public officials will still speak of the Constitution as the Supreme Court still does today. The Supreme Court is also corrupt, guys. But remember, fraud has no expiration date, and what they have done in fraud stays in fraud. Remember, we have a lot of bad guys writing stuff all the time. Now here's in the red, you have the Act of 1871. When we go back through, I'm going to go back through this thing and let you read this thing for yourself. I'm just going through the keys to try and let you try and explain what I can. I'm going to go back, and it's going to be the 5-second rule. When you see it stop, you're going to hit pause. You're going to pause me. And then when you're done, you're going to lift your finger up. A couple seconds later, I'll roll it to the next 5 seconds, and we'll keep doing that. The United States means a federal corporation. We've already known that. We went through that, but I'm reminding you that's the whole purpose of that. Supreme Court of the United States, 1975. Guys, the links are right there under the bottom. Those are the cases. Look these things up. You're going to find all of this is correct. Fraud has no expiration date. Their statute, 18 U.S.C., deprivation of rights under color of law. Get that in your head. U.S. Code subsection 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. Supreme Court ruling. No jurisdiction over the natural man. No corporate jurisdiction over the natural man. Sorry, getting ahead of myself. Sorry. The significance of can't even speak. The significance of Declaration of Independence is the longevity as the American law of freedom. Declaration of Independence, Articles of Confederation, and the other 3 organic laws. It looks like we got some pages jumped here, or some words from the paragraphs. Alright, I think I'm going to just skip through here a little bit, and I'm going to, till we see something. Okay, common law supersedes all law and is superior in all cases to this statutory law, ratified law, and rules and regulations, etc. Affidavits must be entered into the county record, public record, for it is there that public law is established by the sovereign people. Okay? Sovereign itself is of course not subject to law, for it is the author of the source of law. But in our system, while sovereign powers are delegated to the agencies of government, Sovereignty itself remains with the people, by whom and from whom all government exists and acts. There's the case number right under it. In other words, God created we the people. We the people created the laws and the governments. But the Constitution and the Ten Commandments, is funny how they both are saying the same thing. Money. I'm picking out things, and I'll end up going back through here. No one is bound to obey an unconstitutional law. Color of law, sorry. Corporate policy or corporate code. If you contract with them, then you've contracted with them. Now they have jurisdiction over you. You cannot contract with them, period. You can't sign, you can't give blood, you can't agree in court. You have to tell them, you constantly tell them that you're not contracting. I'm not contracting with you. You're out of jurisdiction. And it pisses them off. And it's a fight, guys. It is definitely a fight. They don't give up. And you can't give up. It technically lasts about a year. Their whole issue is they want to see if they can get you to drag it out for about a year. Washington, D.C. is a foreign-controlled corporation unlawfully posing as the governments of the American people. Duh. Okay? Can you remember what we was talking earlier about? Yeah, I'm sorry, just went blank. Right there is Council on Foreign Relations. That's what that's telling you. Council on Foreign Relations. Okay? Now, this is important. In the blue, your first name, your middle name, if you have one, and then your family name. Your family name is your last name. And then Sejuris, you make sure this Sejuris is written just like that, and your last, right after your full legal name. Okay? And you put a space between your first, a dash between your first and middle, put a comma after your names, you know, your first names, first and middle, and then your last name, which is your family name. That's the constitutional way, not the corporate way. That is what you're looking at right there. And I am not a corporation, and I am not that corporate legal fiction. And the end result is that when you were born, when we were all born, they turned us into a corporation and put, I believe it was $5 billion in an account when we were born, but we never got to touch any of it. All right, now here are some Supreme Court cases. Okay, the Bond versus the United States. All of these things you can look up, guys, are saying the same thing. American people are in fact sovereign, and not the states or the government. Okay, you got people in jails. They're committing federal treason because they're getting $350 a day per bunk for your people sitting in jail, and you contracted or they contracted. That's the reason why they're in there, and they're making a ton of money off of your ignorance. Plain and simple. So now I'm going through, like I said, I'm going through the highlights of these for explanation, and then I'll go back and do the 5-second rule. There's more unconstitutional acts. There's more stuff here. You're citing court cases. That's what you're doing. Legal precedents of what's going on. Now, should I say, the legal is of the corporation, and lawful is of the Constitution. Constitution, Article 6, second paragraph, that the Constitution for the USA is very clear. They can make no law outside the Constitution, or it has no standing. Okay, right here. And why they're wording it this way in the red, has no standing, I don't know, but not with standing. Whoever wrote it that way, I have no idea, but that's exactly the way it was written. Actually, that's copy and pasted out of Black's Law. Off the Constitution, sorry. Got more in the Declaration of Independence. You hear politician moving his mouth, an attorney. Remember, attorney and a judge, they both took the bar. They're committing federal treason. Remember, 1871, two guys came from England, created the bar and the USC. Well, the bar is from guys from England. They created that because Europe called in a note to the United States of America, and we could not pay. Therefore, bingo, we're here today. Don't take my word for it. Prove me wrong. Now, here's your court cases, guys. All you got to do is look at them. Read through them. Okay? We are bound to interpret the United States for America in the light of the law as it existed in the time it was adopted. Okay? There's a court case right there. Says that. Next one. Carolina versus U.S. Blah, blah, blah. The United States for America is written instrument. As such, its meaning does not alter. Okay? It doesn't alter, guys. And look what they did. They have fraudulently altered it. These are court cases, guys. Court cases. High-end Supreme Court cases. And you got all of these here. Corporations are privately owned businesses, meaning the corporate United States belongs to one or more private individuals, which is always governed by a board of directors. The corporate United States is privately owned by a group of European royal and elite individuals tied to the Federal Reserve System and the Rothschilds. I threw in the Rothschilds. All this ties together. And the letters of incorporation are recorded in the Vatican. The Vatican is a head kingpin, guys. Organized crime, federal tort, corruption, anti-sovereign, R.I.C.O. The President of the United States is actually a CEO of the United States Corporation, and the Congress and all others are corporate employees. Everything they do is in the interest of corporate owners, not the Constitution for we the people. I can't access those documents because of national security. Isn't that nice? In order to promulgate and enforce criminal laws to govern the sovereign public, government must be sovereign too, which is an accepted rule of law derived from the ancient law of kings. Corporations are not and can never be sovereign. They're a piece of paper with words on it, guys. They are not real. They're fictitious. They're fiction and only exist on paper. Fictitious in the mind. This is what's been controlling our United States of America. Number 12, enforcement of these corporate statutes by local, state, and federal law enforcement officers are unlawful actions being committed against sovereign public, and these officers can be held personally liable for their actions. Well, there's a court case right there, guys. Right here. Okay? Don't take my word for anything. But I dare you to prove me wrong. There being no United States for America criminal law for transparency in the American judicial system, everyone arrested, convicted, and sentenced to prison under these civil laws are imprisoned by consent. And therein all American jails are actually debtor prisons. Guys, they went in, they did not know they didn't have to sign, but they signed every piece of paper. They get you to sign everything in there. Literally, they get you to sign everything. You're consenting. Those guys don't know that they're consenting. They just think that you're supposed to do that because, okay, well, we told you this, so therefore You know, now, you know, you can't say we didn't tell you. That's what they're telling them in there. But that's a bunch of BS. Okay? Because they're getting $350 a day per bunk. What do you think their motivation is? This has been the biggest organized crime in history, guys. And it's called R.I.C.O. And the head kingpin is the Vatican, the popes. Remember, God stated, beware of wolves in sheep's clothing. Now, what do you got there with the Pope? Besides, if he has the power, and you can Google this, to shut off all corporations have been destroyed. It came out of the Vatican. How can he destroy all the corporations when he's supposed to be a church? Because he's not of the church. He's also the man behind the curtain in the Wizard of Oz. That's what the Vatican is. Or should I say the Pope. And remember, the Vatican is just a piece of paper with words on it. It's a fictitious entity. It's a business, period. It's the people that stand behind that piece of paper knowing they can't get sued because everybody is all screwed up in the head in their thinking. I'm not going to go through that. I'm just going to scroll on down. We'll get that on the next one, on the read time. All I'm looking for is stuff here. If any judge takes you from your constitutional for the United States of American Confederacy rights and points you to state statutes, that judge has just committed federal crime. What's up? Sorry, somebody was just walking by. Alright, this is key here, guys. This is a big key. What you need to do is realize this right here is when you put this on your affidavit, you're telling them you are, first of all, the courts are yours. No, not theirs. When you walk into court, this is you telling them who you are. You put your last name here, your family name right here. Okay? See the sujuris right there. Okay? Your court presents notice. And you're going to read through here and you're going to see the things that you're going to present. The affidavit that I have has all this on it. Already set up in line and in order. Now this is something happened to this. Okay. Something happened here. Sorry guys. Something got messed up. I'm not sure where it got messed up, but the result, that's what I was trying to do, is just move it up. Okay, God's judgments. You can read through that when we go back through. The 5-second rule. It won't take but about 10 minutes. Yep. Looking for keys to explain the keys. Like this one. This is a biggie. Alright. This guy right here is the original Article 13, which they took out of the Constitution back then to bring in the bar, which allowed the lawyers to do what they needed to do, to charge you $350 a day or an hour. They had to protect themselves because people standing up, they had to remove this original Article 13. And what it states, very simply, if any citizen of the United States of America shall accept, claim, receive, or retain any title of nobility or honor, or shall without the consent of Congress, accept, and retain any pension, present pension, office, or emolument of any kind whatever from any emperor, king, prince, or foreign power such as Europe. Such person shall cease to be a citizen of the United States and shall be incapable of holding any office of trust or profit under them, or either of not neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdictions. Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Legislation is just basically making it happen, if you will. But you see, states have been making laws. The CEOs to the corporations have been making laws, not Congress. Congress makes them, but the CEOs of these corporations, they create law all the time. It's not law, it's policy and code. And they know that people are just, they're doing nothing and they're getting away with highway robbery. Period. They're getting away with federal treason. All definitions are only of Black's Law Dictionary. Anything else is fraud upon my court, and not of the United States for America. Of the United States. I got a little typo there, it looks like. And not of the United States for America. I have to get rid of that problem right now. Okay. Supreme Court ruling, no corporate jurisdiction over the natural man. A reminder, guys, this is all here. Here it is again in Volume 1 of the United States Code, that's statute, state statute. Following this statement, the United States Code containing the general and permanent laws of the United States in force. And the foregoing statement will dispel any remaining doubts that the Declaration of Independence is not law. What does that tell you? When in fact the Declaration is one of the 4 organic laws, and all corporate employees have ignored that, and it's sitting right there in their books. But yet they've also ignored that issue of Title 18, subsection 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. This has been the biggest organized crime in history, guys. The biggest organized crime in history. Alright, now we have definitions. This is what's left. And this, you can see right here to the side, is just a few pages left. This is all definitions, but I want to point something out before we go back up. You got all those definitions at the top right there. Legal abuse is perjury, tort. You can see the definitions here. And these are all copied from Black's Law. Everything's copied from Black's Law. Now keep in mind, version 6 you want to stop with, because up to version 5 is good. But at version 6 they started messing with it to manipulate it. Treason, using color of law. That's treason. But this is what they're doing to put people in jail. They're kidnapping them. Okay? And they're putting them in jail for state statutes, which are from Europe. Constitution is the supreme law here. They're committing all kinds of crimes. They're perjuring themselves. All of these things tie to them. But RICO is all corporate judges, lawyers of the British Accredited Registry, BAR, know they are committing this Britain trespass from 1871 by way of Esquire identity. Passed in the 1970s, the Racketeer Influence and Corruption Organization Act, RICO, is a federal law designed to combat organized crime in the United States. So, they create the organized crime, and they show you and tell you that they're going to fix it, but they actually just do nothing about it. Now, this is what they have been doing all of this time. And then since the American people don't want to stand up, well, all I can say is this is why we're sitting where we're sitting today. All right, now we're going to go back to the top. We're going to do the 5-second rule, and I will go all the way back down. So, if you want to pause this for a second, I'm going to count 5 seconds for you to pause, and then I'm going to start. I'm going to mute the microphone out. If you want to go get a glass of water, just put me on pause. But I'm going to start normally. Because when you come back, I'll be going. But just put it on pause. All right. On, you ready? Time to go. Now. Guys, this writing here is basically different views or different when things were written on different cases. It's just a different way of saying the same thing. That's what you're going to end up doing. All this is a lot of repeating, because look, Constitution is very clear. It's very simple. It's the same as the Ten Commandments. It's not that difficult. You know, they have to make it complicated. So, in the way they twist everything in the court, they're fraudulent courts. Then you have to make sure that you are covering your tracks, and you technically repeat yourself a couple times, which you don't want to do, but it's hard to get around that. Pay attention to this. This is you. This is you stating this is your jurisdiction. Notice my jurisdiction. Corbin's court presents. This is your court. It's not their court, guys. This is you. All these courts are our courts. It sounds like I'm hesitating because I've got too many things going through my head. But this is very simple. All courts are your court. They're not the judges. They're not the attorneys' courts. Even though that's the way it seems, because that's been their play game. Point is, you're going in there and you're telling them, this is your court, and you're going to hear me. Remember, they're public servants to the Constitution. Period. And down here at the bottom where it says trial by jury, court of record. Okay? Every court has to be in a court of record. So everything's recorded. But you have jury, trial by a jury, or trial by the judge. Okay? You want trial by jury. When it says jury trial, that means that the judge is in charge of that court. And he tells the jury how to think. He directs the jury. Now, do you think an impartialness is there? Of course. This is why always trial by jury. Period. Okay, guys, that concludes this YouTube Midnight Think Tank. My name's Wayne. See you on the next one.